Gentlemen, welcome to the show. We're going to talk some heavy industry. We're going to talk some beer, cranky old men drinking beer.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Rory, let's kick it off. What are we drinking today? And then we'll get into some topics.
So we're in BC, and this is a BC beer, but it's Fernie.
Welcome to BC, Roy.
Yeah.
Welcome to BC.
Yeah.
Good to have you.
I love visiting. And it's a, did I ever tell you the story about when I first worked in BC?
No.
No?
I actually think you did.
I think
but
I
I
did.
have forgotten it, to be honest.
As a student, I worked up in Houston, British Columbia at Equity
Hmm.
Silver at the mine there. And my supervisor said, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Ontario.
The only good thing to come out of Ontario is, I can't remember the...
Is the sun.
The
only
sun.
good thing to come out of the east is the sun. Anyway, this is from Fernie. I've never been to Fernie, but it's a great ski destination, I understand.
Yeah,
Fernie
I'm going to get over there.
Close to the border of Alberta,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also close to the border of Montana. It's in the bottom corner of BC. And this is a pale ale called Headwall, which is I understand it's a geological formation and part of what makes up the range of mountains, and it's the backdrop for Fernie.
Can I read the side of this really quick? Crafted for you by bike riding, powder chasing Fernie folk. Bring us along on your next adventure. It's pretty good.
Fernie folk.
And the smell hits. It's nice.
So this is a pale ale, and it should be fruity.
Whew.
I haven't
Headwall
tried it.
reminds me of the Headley, the mine in Headley. That's what I was initially thinking. I'm like, wait, no, this is Fernie, but that's a crazy spot too. Have you ever driven past that, Roy?
Where is that?
The old Headley mine?
No.
Oh, yeah, it's just a sheer cliff face where they were mining like a long time ago, but now it's like kind of a tourist attraction. For YouTube videos, people go in there because they say it's haunted and all that fun stuff as well. But so people go and sneak in, but it's pretty dangerous because it's like literally on a cliff.
Cheers, Rory.
Gents.
Oh, we can't rate it yet.
Can't rate that yet.
Oh,
I keep
did?
spilling my beer.
a couple more of these.
Yeah.
Turn the lights down. I'll watch Monsters a couple times. Sorry, now I can't let it go. You told me to cut it. Now I can't let it go.
Cheers of joy. You've already rated that beer. It's very nice. We will rate it at the end.
Okay.
You got to drink more to. Which I'm sure won't be a problem.
We're rating it at the end. Cranky old men drinking beer.
Cha-ching.
Okay. Rory, I feel like you haven't started for the last couple episodes. What are you covering today?
Oh, so I was just, Jerrod, we were talking about one of the past episodes about like pivoting and like valuing a business. I pulled out the trusty old security analysis by Graham and Dodd, where Graham was the Benjamin Graham, obviously teacher of Warren Buffett, who was his prodigy.
The putt guy, right? Not putt. The last cigarette butt, right?
Cigarette, yes, sir.
Yeah, the last puff.
Find the last puff. So I mean, he did really well doing that, but obviously.
Oh, do you know the reference?
No.
Rory, can you give the reference? Great, you know it better than me.
So if you find a cigarette on the street and you're a smoker and you got an extra puff in it, it's like great. So what Benjamin Graham would do is he'd go in, he'd find a company that was probably on the way out, but there was just enough left to get like a nice 50% return, probably within like a year or two. He would do that by analyzing the balance sheet. And
because their shares are down, but they still have a little bit of
they're going to have one jump.
Yeah.
They're probably going to have a jump left. So exactly, they're the
corporate
press price. So by
and
basically
made
buying
huge money.
Pardon?
And he made just huge money doing it.
Oh yeah, huge money. I can't remember the returns, but anyway, he founded basically the process of value investing. He started doing a course at Columbia. So I was looking at he talks about, I couldn't find the exact pages I was thinking of, but in security analysis, he talks about deconstructing a balance sheet, because obviously how does a business like Google make money off their assets, or Ford, like we talked about last episode, or CN Rail or CP Rail? Well, they have to have those assets in place so they can make their revenue and their profits off of those. So I was looking at deconstructing a balance sheet, and I thought it was interesting because in that they say an investment operation is one which, upon thorough analysis, promises safety of principal and a satisfactory return. Operations not meeting these requirements are speculative. And that's a pretty heavy statement as well.
Can you put that in your own, Rory? Can you just kind of rephrase it? Because couldn't follow it as a quote. But what's he saying here?
So he's saying basically, if you look at a company and they've got like a strong balance sheet and that you can see like their consistent revenues off their assets and their profits, well, that's a good company, especially if you can predict like the future potentially based on a range of like what they're going to generate in earnings. Anything and beyond that is speculative. And I know this from personal experience because back when I was first doing investing, you go into like a BlackBerry, and BlackBerry didn't have profits. You're waiting for the quarter to come out to see if they have this big announcement or a new phone, but there's no profit line to base it off of. So do those assets really mean anything, or are you just speculating based on what's going to come?
That they will utilize those assets in some new way.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of times they don't. They just flounder and flounder and flounder, and they just disappear after a while. BlackBerry still is operational, but nothing like an Apple or a Google.
You hear a lot of small business owners in that use that kind of language, like, well, we've got this, and they sort of make this business case, but they kind of say everything but the thing they actually need to produce, which is the revenue off of that, those assets, and the clean revenue.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our Heavy Industry World Tour brought to you by Savanaugh Equipment. Find, market, and sell surplus and used equipment. We are heading to events across North America and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. When it comes to balancing the growing demand on your grid with the growing need for more responsible, sustainable energy production and generation, you need the right partner. A partner who delivers long-standing grid expertise from a team dedicated to your unique needs, and one who supports that team with innovations designed for the future needs of your grid, while being rooted in proven electrification excellence. ABB is that partner. Offering solutions that meet technical requirements, regulatory compliance, and recognize the need for sustainability in your business operations, as well as in the lives of the surrounding communities. Solutions that expertly blend physical services and solutions with next-level digitization. Solutions that enable safer, smarter, more sustainable operations. ABB is the name to trust to help modernize your grid. Learn more at abb.com/ca. Did you know cementitious binders can be responsible for up to 70% of the total GHG footprint of mine backfilling processes? Now you can replace up to 50% of the binder in your mine backfill operations with Graybond, Graymond's new low-carbon cementitious binder. This lime-based alternative binder maintains a 40 to 70% lower GHG footprint compared to typical cement and can adapt to varying mine conditions without compromising performance. Learn more about Graybond at graybond.com. Attention builders, we've got everything you need to know about the grit and grind of the construction world in one show. The Construction Show is where you can share your expert techniques and strategies to help keep the crew strong and construction sites secure. From foundational tips, industry trends, safety strategies to advanced equipment and machinery. Be part of the voice of construction. Book your episode and showcase your company to millions worldwide. Visit crownsman.com.
Well, a note I had sent to you, and when Rory's talking about the balance sheet, and I remember when we started the company, and I used to say to my VP of Finance, okay, I'm looking after the P&L statement, profit and loss statement. You take care of the balance sheet. And it was a bit in jest, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs think that way, is I'm going to drive revenue, I'm going to drive sales, I'm running the company, and the accounting group can look after the balance sheet. But it really depends on the type of business you run. Because in contracting, which is capital heavy, a lot of equipment, you really have to pay attention to the balance sheet. And in contracting, I heard a story, I'm paraphrasing, because in contracting I learned a new hobby, antique collecting. Okay? That's collecting our bills from clients because the payments are so slow. Anyway, I thought Rory would appreciate that. I waited till a second beer to break down.
That's funny.
But
that is so good.
But-
Collecting antique.
Oh,
But-
that hurts the soul a little bit, though. It's funny,
Yeah.
but it kind of hurts.
Well, it rings truth, right?
Oh,
But the point is that you can have great revenue, you can have a large client base, but if payments are late, if your capital is high, there's a number of factors involved that the balance sheet is a snapshot of. So a shout out to entrepreneurs, if you're not paying attention to it, you need to.
yeah. It's Rory, anything to add? There's so much.
That's
This
one
is
of the
business
best
101
quotes I've
here.
heard. That quote is so true, especially like for like entrepreneurs out there. Like that's you've got to set it up. Like you're gonna make it back by like getting an accountant to like develop a system to collect payments and that, and just be friendly about it. But I always say, Jerrod, I've said to you, like a lot of times it's just a matter, like a lot of these companies, especially like in mining or manufacturing, construction, they've got a lot going on. What we're doing isn't on top of the heap, but if I call them, kind of like I say, like kind of make friends with like the different departments, that way at least they know that we're out there, we're a small business. So that goes a long way, just being friendly about it, not going like over the top with the follow-ups and that.
But being
But
on
it
it.
is true.
But being on it.
You've got to be on
Yeah.
it.
Like,
Because
And it goes, when we did BLM, the contracting company in Sudbury, early.
you realize the humor of that your company was called BLM, right?
Yeah.
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 You just say it very casually, and every
Yeah.
time there's a second of,
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Uh,
You were way ahead of your time.
yeah, it's scary. But we had a client that defaulted, and we were out over $1 million, which
Oof.
at that time was a big deal for us. And so my
At that
job,
time.
my
That's
job.
not a big deal anymore, Roy.
Well, yeah, I mean, now at cementation, we
next episode,
that's
present value of $1 million, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry. Hey, you said it. I was just listening.
So I ended up managing cash flow for the next year.
Mm.
I was in charge of the company. What was I doing? I was talking to suppliers. I was going to our clients and trying to get early payments. Anything we could do to survive, because one client had gone under and we were low on the list. There's hydro, there's employees, everyone is before us. And so that probably set us back a year as a company. And there were three of us who were partners in this business, and we had a discussion about whether we should fold it.
Wow.
But if we did that, then we would have impacted all our suppliers and our employees too. And so we decided we're going to tough it out. We talked to our suppliers, made deals with them. They were very supportive because we were very honest. And after a year, we had everyone paid off and we were doing well.
That goes a long way too, the honesty part of it, because sometimes you just have to have those hard conversations.
Well, actually,
Small industry, everyone knows anyway. So
Roy, I don't even know if I ever told you this story. When I lost my first company, what happened? The end of the end was we got a fairly big. This was in home exterior, so aluminum railings. We got the job. They prepaid us for it.
for how much of the job?
They
Material or probably?
it was either half or more.
Oh, really?
Because it was
Okay.
in the market was crashing and
Yeah.
stuff, and I didn't know these people. These were complete strangers to me. They'd found us. So we got the job.
But you were happy? Big
We
job?
got the
yeah.
job. Things were really slowing down. This is 2008. Like things were.
Oh, yeah.
I had 2 whiteboards on, and they were just full of projects because we had all these like little jobs and big jobs and stuff like that. And every day I just crossed basically another job off, and nothing was being added until there was nothing.
That was
That was a crazy time.
That
I
was
was
a meltdown.
20 or 21 years old at the time, so it was the most insane experience. I'm not a smoker, and I saw a pack of cigarettes in one of them, and I wanted to have a smoke just to have something to kind of help.
Well, you just turned drinking age too.
Yeah, no, let's not get into that. But
Bad timing.
yeah,
I was
and
saying, bad time to quit smoking.
yeah, and so our supplier was going through the same thing. We'd gotten a little bit behind on some of our payments to them, and that.
Well, it cascades.
Yeah.
Eh?
So I made the order, and they said, no, you got to basically clean up the whole bill before we'll send you anything.
Oh.
I said, well, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Like that like it just can't happen. So this isn't going to work. And of course, we've got this last little bit of money left. And so there's this honesty thing. So I went, okay. And I went and I brought them their money back and said, sorry, can't do the job. The next day, I was at church and they were sitting about 20 feet away. Imagine if I hadn't have given them the money back. Had no idea who they were. It just happened to be. This is years ago. So, yeah. I mean, that would have been, the reputation would be gone in you know.
So that's value-based contracting.
Yeah.
Versus the saying, there's business ethics.
Yeah.
You know, and I always hated that term because there's ethics. Why would it be different for business than when you're dealing with people or friends or family?
Yeah, but it does put. I mean, those situations put a lot of people out of business. And Rory, I was going to say, with like we've had discussions about like how quickly you should invoice people. Like you're talking about like being on it, like being friends with people.
Yeah.
But like, I think this is just my note to people that are starting out, is if somebody green lights something, get the paperwork.
Go.
Put terms for payment. Follow up on the payment terms. You know, do what Rory, Rory, you're very good at it. Is like doing it in not a pushy way, but you got to be on it. You have to be on it.
I used to think payment terms were contractual, but I came to learn they're just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Antique dealers.
We finance a lot of groups.
Oh man,
that's what you have to watch out for as a small business. And again, to people starting out, is probably you'll be small enough that you don't need to carry the financing for a lot of these companies.
See,
they can afford to pay you for your services.
One of the I give some courses internally, and one of the courses I give is on negotiation. And when you look at what's important to you as a contractor, cash flow, right, seems to be the number one thing. I mean, you need to get pipeline and work. Whereas a large company, cash flow isn't their interest. They want to see a lower price. So when you're negotiating the contract, you look for we call interests that are different, right? So what's important to you and what's important to them. And I remember one large contract we were negotiating. The guys at the table wanted to come back and say they had reduced the margin on the project.
Right.
Okay. So we said, okay, we will take less margin and we will take more margin on performance, and we will take a lump sum payment up front, which will help our cash flow. The lump sum payment up front didn't bother them. They're a big company, but they were able to come back and say, we negotiated the margin down by 2%, and we're happy with. So feather in their cap, it's a win-win, right? But looking at those areas of interest, which are different for different groups.
Sometimes you don't think that you're doing something. You just sort of do it instinctively.
Yeah.
I will do that with like if I'm dealing with a marketing manager, and sometimes they'll ask me, "Hey, could you do any better on the price?" But I can tell it's hurting them to ask. Like they've been asked to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to give them, not always, but generally, I'll give them something because I know they have to go back to their higher up.
Yes.
And it just makes them look better.
Yeah.
It's not costing us too much if it's something reasonable, and they get to go and present to their employer.
Well, like saying, if you bring another show on, we'll give you this price per show.
Right.
Right. So it's more volume for you.
Right. Exactly.
Covers overhead.
Yeah.
They go back and say, we got the price per show reduced, and we got this great deal on an extra show. Well, you look for win-wins, and the interests are different for different people.
Win-win.
Win.
Win.
Jerry, one thing that's interesting about winning.
Do you watch The Office?
Yes. Back in the day. I watched it when it was on TV, not the reruns.
That was like 25, 30 years ago, Roy.
And that was the Steve Carell one, not the Rick Gervais one. I never did see the BBC one.
I tried to watch. British people, I feel like them, like I feel like Rory feels about Vancouver. I don't hate it, but I'm just not it. No, I'm kidding.
We're bringing this up again. This is unbelievable. The Canucks are.
I'm half British. I'm able to get away with saying that, right?
Jerrod, I did want to ask you about the action. No, I lost it.
You don't remember?
Guys, you guys are going win, 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 win. I'm like, winning.
Looks like you hit a bit of a head wall there.
Yeah.
I just feel like you just upped the. See, I feel like because I didn't laugh at some of the other stuff, you've kind of elevated the humor a little bit. That's what I feel like. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm just starting to get a feel for your warped sense of humor. Laughing at people crying to an incredibly sensitive song. Okay,
you don't understand.
I know where Jerrod's coming from.
Roy, you don't. It looks like they're getting electrocuted.
Oh, I understand perfectly. Where were we? We were talking about business.
You guys went off about winning in The Office again, and I completely got confused.
Michael Scott has a quote that I agree with, though. He says in the office, someone says, "Oh, it's not personal." He says it's business. It's the most personal thing there is. Yeah, I agree with that actually.
Yeah. Well, you're working like basically more than like you're with your own family.
Well, I talk.
Well,
I talk.
That's
to people
you, Rory. I actually do give proper time to my family, so thank you very much. Actually, watch the show Monsters.
Jerrod,
learn a thing or two.
I definitely think so at 11 p.m.
I'm waiting for Rory to have a tear tattoo after he watches the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you get all my emails, right? Never mind.
Yeah.
But on it, segueing in, because what I talk about is life balance, and I think this whole concept of work-life balance is wrong, because work's a part of life.
I agree.
So it's life balance. It's how do you, because there's some things that you need to do for work.
Yeah.
Right. So you need to be committed to that, but
Preach
you have to understand, there's family, there's quality time.
You're coming to Kelms too, Roy.
Together.
I need you to make a speech.
There's quality time apart.
Yeah, we have people you need to talk to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I give great Christmas party speeches. I'll tell you that. Yeah. But everyone's had a couple before.
You realize what you just said, though, is what every guy says. It's like, no, there's some things I just have to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like drink beer on camera.
Drink beer on camera. Go to work events.
It's a call. It's a calling.
You should have seen. But when I went to the shout out to BC Liquor Store again, because I took back the 12-pack of only the lagers, which
they're
actually
great.
I wish I'd
they're
kept.
Great to deal with.
Yeah, and they was like I bought 3 cases of beer that day, but they're all samplers, so like we're set up. But the I don't know where I'm going with that anyway. Yeah, this is a disaster.
I gotta check with you on what that third case was. Was it the Guardian or?
Oh no, I got the we got the Fernie, we got the
Steamworks,
and we got the Strange Fellows.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you can take 3 cases. Like, what one was I think it's a Strange Fellows. That's the 8-pack. Oh no, it's this one. This is the tall boys. Anyway,
yeah.
I know we're getting bored because I just saw Josh shuffle. I just saw you shuffle, Josh. I know what that means when people shuffle.
I think the shuffling comes more down to like it's the chair isn't perfectly ergonomic to switch, so I have to shift on my butt.
Sometimes you say things, Josh, and it just. Why do you have to say it like that? It's just the way you say it. It's not what. It's just the way. It's just the.
You have so much rage in you.
I do have a little bit of rage.
We shot an episode at a boxing gym, and you're talking about how you're tossing people off bridges and punching babies. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff.
None of that is true. That's all a lie. That's a lie.
I'm telling you those stories on camera.
I know he was saying it to Bob and everyone, and you have so much rage.
I thought he just reacted. I thought when Rory said Strange Fellows, Josh thought he was referring to him.
Oh, that might be true.
But that's a brand of beer, Josh.
They have a nice taco truck outside their brewery.
Do they?
Yeah.
Jerrod,
I don't know what
everybody
it is,
loves
Josh.
a taco.
As a segue, Jerrod, because I saw that you were bringing up. We talked about it on the last episode with Henry Ford, and I wanted to like bring that in because for one, like the balance sheet part of it does apply to like a business like that, manufacturing. But as a segue, like what kind of were you getting into on that topic? So I'm just curious.
Because you talked about pivot was the other thing you were talking about.
Yeah, well, so the part one was being willing to make that pivot. We got a bit all over the place in the last episode.
Yeah.
But the point of the idea was that he was willing to basically completely throw out anything, and he reinvented the wheel
burn
of
the ships or whatever.
Yeah, what people thought of as a car. Everybody should be able to buy a car. That was essentially, even his staff, workers at a, this is at a time when someone working at a factory might not necessarily.
It's not a luxury item anymore.
Right. He's going, everybody can buy.
Mass market.
But he made it easier entry, and he raised the pay for his workers so that they could buy. So he did both at the same time. But this is what I found interesting. So then as time goes on, his cars are everywhere. He's doing great. The business is going good.
Yeah.
But then companies like Chevy start making nice cars.
Yeah.
Because now people like cars. It's like when you buy the first TV, it doesn't really matter. You're just getting a TV.
Well, what's your next car going to be?
It's going to be a nicer car.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's the American dream.
So he created this demand, and Chevy goes, oh, here's a better version of it. It's a little bit more money. Not a lot more money. It's a little bit more money. And he, by this time, had he had bought out the company. So now he makes the decisions.
Yeah.
He runs it. He is the head guy. Now, if you know anything about Henry Ford, you know he was into a hierarchical. How do you say that?
Hierarchical.
Hierarchical?
That's how I say it. I'm not sure how you say it.
Hierarchical.
Sorry, Josh?
Hierarchical.
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 Lyrical?
Hierarchical.
Hierarchical.
Beyonce.
We have sponsors for this episode, guys.
Hierarchical?
Okay, don't start that guy.
A structured.
Yeah. I mean, there was some historic figures that he may have not. He may have revered that probably that probably shouldn't have been. I would say shouldn't have been. I will say shouldn't have been.
History proved different.
History. Look up Henry Ford. Okay. So he did get this mindset of like he knew the answer, he knew what to do, and he was running the show. And then he started to fall behind because other companies got in the game.
Fall behind, losing market share,
and by quite a bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good plan because he had made it for one time.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden everybody else is jumping up ahead. And so he had to pivot again.
Yeah.
And that to me is harder. When we pivoted, Rory, our company sucked.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take much courage because we didn't have anything. Really. It was either go get a job or do something different.
Yeah.
Now to go, hey, we don't do long form anymore. We're going to do, I don't know, whatever.
I think it took more courage actually, like probably in like 2020 when it was like, man, this is like everything's being burnt to the ground right now. Do we just keep on going? And then you just slug it out, trying to figure out, because you know the product's there, but you're like, will the demand finally come?
Well, you said it recently in one of the notes where the general feeling was everyone wanted something short and sweet.
Yeah.
Right? Like the I don't know, TikToks or whatever.
Yeah, people have a 30-second attention span.
Yeah.
That wasn't me though. That was Rory.
Okay.
That was
but you guys
very
committed
much Rory,
to content.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just a 30-second blip.
Well, I wanted to make like maybe 10-minute
delve into
videos,
something.
and Rory wanted to do like 45 minutes or an hour. And I'm like, I was like, I didn't listen to podcasts at that time, so I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't
because
even wrap my mind around what he was
the
talking
other thing
about.
too is like listening to Joe Rogan as I was doing work, 3-hour, 4-hour podcasts. The other thing too is what makes sense is you see it on Kill Tony, a 2-hour episode. Like you're saying, Roy, you get a 1-minute clip of like the funniest parts. That's the short form content.
Yeah.
That's coming because they're doing 2 hours. Like we just had one of our clients, Tasta, they just shared a clip on LinkedIn. I've been getting notifications all day of people interacting with that clip because they have a 40-minute episode. Now all of a sudden they have 10 clips.
But and to your point though, like Kill Tony, I am not a clip person for Kill. I watch that show. I sit there with my daughter and I turn the volume up so she learns all this crazy words, and we.
Good Lord.
I'm not going to be hosting very
You need
much
to go
longer.
back to that church.
Yeah.
I go to that too. I try to get balance. That's what I'm looking for in
Yeah,
life.
you need
People
some-
talk about balance. I'm pretty balanced.
Yeah, you need some balance, buddy.
But I want the long form version of that show. I am not interested
Rory,
in the 10-second clip.
Very interesting comment there, because do you get the highlight if you don't have the long version? You don't.
I don't think so.
No,
right?
you can't.
You've got to do the whole show.
Yeah.
And the same with Mining Now or the Crownsman shows is you do a whole show. If a client wants to take some highlights out of it, then that's great content too. But you don't get that highlight without really delving into things.
But I want to sort of double down on this thing, Rory, though. So that pivot, though, please correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like that long form content, though, that did come somewhat out of desperation for us. We needed something different.
I just remember I heard, like, basically we had like the old office and you were saying, we're going to do a podcast. I'm like, and you're like, we're going to do 15 minutes. I'm like,
I don't think I was using the word podcast. I think you used the word podcast.
I probably used the word pod. You said you were going to do whatever it was.
Video.
So what is this that we're doing?
This would be a video podcast and a podcast.
Video podcast,
Because podcast was originally was more like just audio.
Vocal.
Yeah, and then it morphed into like video podcasts. Yeah.
Okay.
But what I'm getting at is we needed something to generate real revenue, something that made us unique to the market and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
What I'm sort of leaping forward is, let's say 2 years ago, coming out with a new packaging.
Yeah.
And now you're getting sales. You're actually doing okay. And then going, no. We can do more with this. We can package this in a better way, and being willing to take those risks. And all of a sudden we've made some mistakes, Roy. We've done some media pack. All of a sudden the sales went from here and dropped. Like we made a mistake.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more like we're talking about Henry Ford. He had to then pivot into these vehicles that were competing with the new stuff.
Yeah. But you know what? You recognize a mistake. It was obvious and it was sudden. And too many companies, when they make a mistake, it's in the long game. They play it out. They try to work through it, and 3 or 4 years down the road,
the definition of insanity.
It's really hard to pivot.
Yeah.
Then, right?
I think Jerrod and I learned from, like, again, we've brought Jack Welsh up a few times, but he recognized like how things, like he would see things like even like a light bulb, like this thing is not selling. Scrap it. You're spending millions of dollars trying to develop. It's not working. We got to go back to the drawing board.
Wasn't he the
Jerrod
GE guy?
Yeah.
They sold all the light bulbs, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they went into
maybe a bad example, Rory.
No, because they had one. They had a really
okay.
The energy efficiency bulbs
wouldn't sell.
Okay.
They didn't sell because they were so expensive. They basically had to scrap them, reinvent, and like you said, GE. It's the light bulb.
Rory, sorry. When you're just telling me, and like we're getting all excited about a light bulb. I just realized this is why Rory and I we're
the
just friends.
Came on.
Yeah. Huh? When Rory and I are together with like other people, like you like business, so we can actually talk to you. But most people, they just get this look on this
face.
In a
social setting?
It's sad. It's really sad.
Not good.
It's really sad.
Do you want to learn about how we're going to increase our
GE's light bulb back in
balance sheet? Are you kidding me?
Oh man, but it's so fun.
But you know what? So
Actually,
from a financial perspective,
Yeah.
you build a light bulb with lower operating costs that
Yep.
last longer. So now what you're asking the public to do is a return on investment calculation.
yeah.
You're paying
Good
twice
luck.
as much for the light bulb, but it's going to last twice as long, and it's going to take a third energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good investment. It makes
Yep.
sense. But
Yeah, it does.
when you get to Canadian Tire and you look at the light bulbs, and this one's worth $3 and this one's worth $6, well,
I think for me, I talked about what do you care about the environment or not, and that's what I buy my products based on. Thank you very
Right.
much.
That's
What?
Jerrod. That's why I cut the other part. That's why Jerrod is so that's what you're trying to do in these shows. I can't say it with a straight face.
and you go to church.
I do. Church on Sunday, kill Tony on Monday. By the time Tuesday comes,
Kill Tony on Monday with your daughter.
but church with daughter as well. So that kid will be confused.
Yeah. Need to read some parenting books there. Or Rory's going to dad school, aren't you?
Well, yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. I'm going to read some parent. Rory, any good financial books that I can read?
Definitely. Well, no, don't.
Man, some of this stuff though, like the pivots, it's only like it's
very difficult. Like
it
it's
is.
easy to
It's
talk
actually
about,
it's actually
but
difficult to.
It's a wrenching thing to do because it may impact your employees. It'll certainly impact your family. Like anytime you make a major change to the business model or the business you're in, it's got a ripple effect on everything and everyone.
Well,
Your friends, your family.
Well, you know where I've noticed it. I'm actually gonna Josh. I'm actually gonna bring.
Might be good.
Might be
might
good.
Not be.
But I'm actually going to bring Josh, and this is no joking. This is actually a serious thing I'm
Copy
talking
that.
about because artists.
Yes.
So there was a time I did a little bit of acting. I was not great at it, but I did a little bit of it, and it was kind of fun. But it's a very hard business to make because you literally audition all the time. It's not like sales even. Sales is you can basically reach out to enough people and get enough. In acting, you don't even get to do that. And artists, photographers, producers, all that sort of stuff. It's a very hard business.
Well, I'll say right now, acting. I was actually talking with I'm not an actor myself, but I was talking to some actors, and they said some of it literally is just you could have done a better job than the person that got it, but they envisioned the person that got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what we've been talking about, Josh, is you as a producer.
Yeah.
Is you're an artistic person. You want to see things come to life. You hear something that's good and you're happy to put a camera on and make it come to life.
100%.
And I've been on you to say, no, but make people pay. Make them pay you $50 for it. So that's sort of an artist pivot because artists notoriously love to work for free. They don't want to work for free, but they can't say no because they need the project.
Yeah.
Commercializing it, takes the feeling is that commercializing it takes the emotion.
That's the feeling, though.
Yeah.
It's a psychological pivot.
What I will say is talking to you about is on the more of the commercial side, like any here are the commercial clients I have. I still need to ask for more, but I am more comfortable being like, hey, this is the service we have. This is what we'll be doing. I think it's more on the creative side though when you get like, oh, doing this music video or doing the short film will lead to more business work. So I kind of want to say, oh, I'll do it for free. But I think as Jerrod has said before, you'd think, oh, I'm doing it for free. People would be like, oh, okay, you're putting your time in. I'll ask for less. But they ask for more.
They ask for more. And the next time, do you think people are going to go, oh, next time I'll go to you again? They won't. They'll go to the next person that's beside them with a camera.
Yeah, I mean, we've, not anyone we're working with now, but there are people we've worked in the past that have sort of been like, oh, yeah, we'll work with you, doing it.
Never
happens. And then they go to the next younger person who would be willing to do it for free.
Josh, have you tried, like, even if it's like like you're saying nominal fee, like $50-$100, what I've always found as well, because we had people doing that even like in the marketing days, which was really weird. Like, oh, can you manage us to start for free? It's like, no. But do you think like the one thing that's good if you charge a nominal fee is that they'll actually have an expectation, and then even for yourself, you'll have an expectation. Do you find that, like, have you been trying it now where you're seeing like some better results on that side of it? Because
I've found better results when the contract says something more along the lines of like, okay, this is what we will do. We will shoot this video. We will do an edit. You will get 2 rough cuts, 2 composition cuts, and 2 finals. Anything after that is going to cost more money.
So the scope is well defined.
Yeah. So when
You talked about that in engineering.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So when we do that versus just there's an editing fee in general, and that includes more revisions. People, when they realize like, oh, if I have to pay for another revision, I'll actually do proper notes versus before it'd be like, oh, can you change this? And I would change that thing. Like it's like, oh, can you make the sound a little bit louder on this? And then I'll do that, and they'll say, oh, can you actually like make the color a little warmer? And it's like, well, why didn't you mention that in the last one? But when you say like after these 2 revisions, you're going to be charged for it, they're more willing to like give a wall of notes. And
Right.
I have a client.
They buckle down. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a client right now who like I just got notes today, and it was like actually a proper wall of notes because ideally they don't want to be paying for more.
So just to pivot back, so this is where negotiation happens. So because I'm now in the mentor position, I can trade mentorship for free production.
Yeah, and that's why, as Jerrod tells me to
Cheers,
always
Josh.
ask people to charge money, he doesn't count as that because he's giving me mentorship.
Yes.
Oh, mentor.
Mentor.
Okay, I thought I heard mental.
He's kind of created this token called.
That's borderline rude.
I do get paid in Jerrod
I
bucks,
feel like
though.
you crossed the line.
No, my hearing's not what it used to be.
Oh yeah.
I do get paid in Jerrod bucks though, and he said at some point that may have value.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's on
it's an investment.
It's on the Bitcoin market there.
It's similar to that. Maybe, I hope not.
But we had a saying that free engineering is worth what you pay for it. We had lots of clients
That's terrifying.
Come
Free
to us.
engineer.
come to us and say, what's a ballpark estimate on this project? A $500 million project, and they want you to pull a number out to base a pre-feasibility study on. They say, well, what's the ground like? Is there any water? What are all the details? Oh, well, we haven't looked at that yet, but just get what's a shaft cost per meter? That type of thing.
Easy.
And that's where projects get into a lot of trouble because they will publish a first number without doing the homework. And, we really balk at that. It's, we provide an engineering service. We know the numbers, but we need the scope and we need the detail to give you the right numbers. So this back of a cigarette pack was the old saying. Estimate is dangerous, and it's been a problem in our industry.
I really actually want both your thoughts on this. When I hear this, though, I do empathize with people that are trying to get through those first 3 years of a business.
Yeah.
Like, we've been through it, Rory. It's actually really tough. Like Josh, I know I say, oh, you should get paid in that, but you need projects. You want to keep working. You want to stay creative.
And that's the thing is like right now, I think we're in a position where we have a client base that keeps us alive, save a little bit every once in a while, kick a little bit of money to get more gear.
Well, if we were paying you, you'd be actually
yeah,
making
no,
a
I'd probably
decent
be doing
living.
pretty good. But yeah, I'd like to make more than that.
Yeah, well, one day you will. But Rory, what are your thoughts on do you look back at some of? We had it was like a few $100 here, and it was just you look at some of our old books, it's just crazy what we were charging.
I don't even.
And looking back at some of the old emails we'd send, it's just insane. It's hilarious. It doesn't even seem like the same person sending the email. It's bizarre.
Even the emails for trying to figure out a business model for a show, and you look up even the numbers. Wall Street Journal put out a number about podcast advertising and that.
So did you guys do a business plan early on?
We did our first business plan that got completely thrown out the window. And once we found our other business, the business plan has been.
So I'm interested in this. Did the plan get thrown out the window, or did the business evolve completely different from your first plan?
It evolved so
that's
so
yeah,
different.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And same with us. And I did a business plan for cementation, and it's almost embarrassing to look at it now. But I always tell entrepreneurs, do a business plan, because it will not reflect your business eventually. But if you don't think through some of these things, you're going to make some expensive mistakes.
You won't even know what you're changing from.
It's an exercise you need to do.
Did you do the classic, there's this many mines, so there's this much, if we get 1% of the business, we'll be worth $100 trillion.
I didn't, it wasn't that foolish. But
again,
it's
a little rude.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oops.
But yeah, that's the thing though. I think like the evolution.
Morons.
Okay. I wish I'd talked to you guys before.
Yeah, if anybody knows, it's not scripted.
No, but when we started cementation, I knew the market very well.
Yeah.
And I knew the competition, and I knew what market shares they had, and I knew the new projects coming up, and I knew the people that were involved in the projects coming up. I knew them well. So I had the network, and so I was able to evaluate them and look at those projects. And the reality was, we looked at 5 projects. If we even got one of them, we would be off to
Well,
the
that's
races.
kind of the same thing.
No.
It's a little bit like if we got 1%, it's a little bit like that.
What Jerrod and I talked about though, this is interesting, is like because
You're just like us, Roy.
Okay.
yeah.
I got the 5% solution. You got the 1% solution.
Yeah. 20, 1 out of 5. Just being
Oh,
accurate.
5. What? Oh yeah, 20. Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, the business plan you do will look comical as your business evolves, but it's important to do it. I hear some people, why do it? Because it's not going to turn out that way. But just the thought process
Yeah,
of
to go
working
through it.
through it is very important.
But what I'm wondering though is if someone, like, I don't even know what advice, if someone was coming into our space today, like what Crownsman does, I don't readily know what advice other than, okay, you got to spend X amount of money to get this whole machine going that's going to cost.
But that's a worthwhile exercise. You should do that.
Tell
We've
someone how to
done that.
compete against us?
No, not tell someone. I mean, no, but
We've done
the
that.
if question
so we've done
is,
that now, Roy.
if
the
someone
thing.
asked you that, what would you say? Because you say you're not sure right now. But if you think
Oh,
through
what
it,
what
we
someone
know
would have
that
to do to
now.
make what we've made?
yeah,
Oh, no, we know that. I'm not going to say it
We
on the
know
air,
that.
but yeah.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
we know that.
Yeah.
We've got a business plan basically, like we know like all those factors now, and like what it takes to reach a certain point in the market, how
what it
many
would
people in
take
the
to
markets,
compete against us, we know what that
Yeah.
would be.
and we know
Yeah.
what that would take now too. Yeah,
But
we won't say that on camera.
would somebody, if someone was coming into you just said something. You knew who the players. I knew their market shares.
Yeah.
What if you didn't? Would it just be better to just not do the business? Do you think someone could get out without knowing what you knew?
you know, there's a couple ways you go into business. One is through passion, and I see some people do that, and there's a certain amount of luck involved in that, but they're totally committed. They've got an idea. They've got something that they want to do, and if they find the right people to support them,
Yeah.
and they get the financial acumen, they can be successful. Our approach was much more methodical. Is we knew the market, we knew what we wanted to go after. I knew the people I needed to be able to win that work and do it. So, but that's from being in the industry for 20 years and learning the industry. So it wasn't, 25 years old, start a business. That wasn't how it worked. And when we started our company in 1989, I was young, but my two partners were both experienced. So I was in there learning, and because I had the background in contracting, they wanted me to do the contracting part of it. And so I ran with that. I learned a lot from both of them, and didn't know what I couldn't do.
Did you see other? I'm not asking you to call someone up, but did you see people try to get into the market that didn't? Like,
Yes.
yeah,
It's a tough market.
it's a tough market.
And if you don't know what you're doing, then you're just shooting craps.
I mean, Rory,
It's
we
just luck.
we
we saw
literally
that.
had a company. We've literally had a
Yeah.
company. At the time we had like white brick back. I don't even know what we should find them again, but
No, they're gone.
I mean, they replicated our show. They replicated it and then just disappeared. We've seen it over and over because they don't know the business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. And I'm not sitting here trying. I don't know what I would say to someone who's trying to how do you compete with you knowing the market?
I know what I would say now to somebody. I would say develop your sales strategy. Because that sales strategy, even like a couple of years ago when we didn't have it right, and we're like, why are these ebbs and flows happening?
Yeah.
Well, now there's always people that need to get their message out, and they always need to reach tens of thousands of people in a specific industry. So develop your sales process, because as more sales come in, they will teach you, they will draw you in to places you had no idea you were going to go. They will say, well, can you come to this show? And you didn't even know about the show.
Yeah.
So you'll go there and you'll film a couple episodes, and then you'll go back and film 10 and then 20. The sales process, those customers, if you treat them well, they will draw you into places you had no idea existed. I'd say that's a big thing.
When you say treat them, from my perspective, as a client, you say treat them well, and that sounds nice. But I always think about adding value. And what's my return on this? And when we started the company, we looked at a different way of doing things, but it wasn't just because it was different; it's because it was better.
Better, right?
Because it added value. And whenever you're making a change, you've always got to do that. I won't say value accounting; call it whatever you want. But we've made this pivot. Okay, might be nice for you, but what does it do for your clients?
Right.
What value is it adding to your clientele? And that's the important part, because you may have an idea and say, yeah, we want to do design build instead of just construction. But so what's in it for the client? We know what's in it for you. So
yeah, if someone was to start like a business like ours, I would say you have to be, one of the things I would say to them is you have to be willing to invest money. I think too many people online, they're still trying, they think they're going to be the next Rogan.
Yeah.
I think that's an error people make. You talk about belief, they don't really believe in themselves to put money into it. And
but what? Charles Barkley said something very interesting about that. He said he'd go to schools and he'd talk to the students. 90% of the students wanted to be a professional sports player.
Yeah.
And he said there's 480 people in the NBA.
Yeah.
The odds of you being
a
professional athlete,
well, that's kind of what I was
far less than being a lawyer or a doctor. Just doing it because you want to do it. It's not enough. You've got to.
Well, I've seen people do a lot of episodes though, and they never.
Yeah.
But that, to me, that's so. If you do 100 episodes and you don't generate any revenue from that, you're not challenged. You're not pivoting. You're not looking at different ways. You're not. I mean, look at behind us, advertising and episodes. Banners popping up and all stuff. You're getting paid for that. You have to get paid to do the work you do.
And people understand that part of it too. Like as we basically educate all of our clients, like what the model is, because if you only take one piece, it doesn't work. You have to have multiple ways for people to get content.
Well, the concept of a loss leader is.
That's a good topic. We should cover that one day.
Depends on what business you're in.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't work in contracting to bid a job low because the next phase is there, and then you bid that job, put the equipment in, and then the next phase goes out to tender.
That's a little bit like what we're talking about with Josh.
Lots of and I think most people in our industry are onto that now. Is a loss leader is just a loss. There's no leader part. It's just a loss. So bid fair, bid to make money, be reasonable, but to take a job at cost because you think you'll get the next phase, or to do something for free because you think you'll end up in the good books of a potential client. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It never works. It does go back. I think time-wise we don't, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't exactly answer the question though of how do you get in,
Yeah.
and that's
So what topics were we going to talk about this show?
Oh, beer Headwall.
Rory. What did you?
Forward.
It was so good. Rory. What did you?
We went balance sheet and rabbit trail.
Balance sheet. No, we talked about the Ford thing. Did you have one,
Yeah.
Rory? Or were you
No.
I was piggybacking on you guys because again, it was
just
'cause
riveting?
the Ford one that you wanted to talk
Absolutely
about was pivot,
riveting.
and then the other topic. What did I respond with the good to great comment? Because I'm trying to remember what that was in reference to. Oh, that was Ford's comment about there comes a point where you've got to,
Throw out
it's not
everything.
you have to throw out everything and.
That's a great segue for the beer review. Good to great.
Good to great. I'll go first. I could drink a lot more of these. I like the little written thing. I like when brands, the art is one thing, but I like when companies can write something out, because writing something out in branding and it landing well is very, very difficult. I've actually tried to do it for companies, and I've not done a very good job a lot of times. It's very difficult to do, so I automatically like something when I see it because I appreciate the effort that it takes to actually write this. And it is very, I would just say, very refreshing, more so than I would. Oh, it even says refreshing. There you go. They got me nailed.
Truth in advertising. Oxymoron.
Rory.
Wait, what do you give it out of 20?
I don't give the reviews. I don't give the rating, Josh.
Okay.
That's for cranky
Know
old
the
men
show.
drinking
Know
beer.
the show, Josh.
You guys actually did 2 episodes ago each give a ranking, so.
Yeah, that was a rank episode.
Oh, okay. So that's my bad then.
Rory, we're going out for dinner afterwards. I'm taking Rory out on the town. We're gonna go crazy, and you're not here. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna make plans to be next time. When are you
Nice.
back in BC? Beautiful BC, Roy.
I'll have to check my schedule.
Okay, well, anyway, who cares?
Not me.
I'm here and I didn't get an invite to this dinner, so.
Well,
That's correct. So what's the story on this beer?
you
Rory?
get a little nasty after a couple beer, Roy. Get a little nasty, a little mean.
You're the guy that's
I'm like that
laughing
all-
at people crying at a
But I'm
sentimental
like
song.
that all the time.
Oh, okay.
That's the difference.
I
Okay.
think you know what? I really like this beer because it's citrusy, like Jerrod's tears watching James Blunt. That's a callback. Roy, what do you give it out of 20?
Oh, before they turn off all the lights.
What's this, Brokeback Mountain here or what?
Okay, Roy.
Oh!
Roy.
Okay.
Roy.
Back to reality.
Did you watch that?
That was a Kill Tony comment.
I never had the courage. I'll be
Okay.
honest. I'm a little bit of a
Yeah.
wimp. That
I
way.
didn't cry during it. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
So
What is that?
a hazy pale ale, and it is very tasty.
Do you realize what you just said? Okay.
There's a couple ways to take that, actually.
No, not really. Sorry, go ahead, Roy.
I really enjoyed this beer. Nice flavor. It's not over the top. It's mild, but nice fruit flavor to it. There's a little bit of malt body in it. It's not hoppy. It's kind of a classic pale ale and very nice. I enjoyed it.
Does the hazy mean anything when it says hazy pale ale as opposed to just pale? I know, but is a pale ale then usually not? I don't know my beers. I'm sorry.
When they talk about a hazy pale ale, sometimes there's more fruit to it.
Oh, okay.
But there's so many different ways that people do things. So you talk about a pale ale, and you can get just a whole range. So the name doesn't mean a lot when all is said and done, because there's so much variety in these genres.
So even if you see hazy, it doesn't necessarily mean it's more fruity, or
No.
generally. Oh, okay.
No.
Well, then I thought I was going to learn something, and I didn't. Hey, Josh, any last words from you? Any thoughts? I know you've had
At some point, I think you guys were going to talk about Ford's political views.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. That's good.
Henry
That's good.
Ford's
It's good wrap.
or Jerrod Ford's.
Well, on the list of things to Google, everyone just Ford Jews and
Oh, damn it.
He's really trying. He's really trying. Nobody needs to.
You know
No, I
what,
thought
Josh?
I had gone over the
Josh,
line, but-
Josh, you got to accept people's different views on things.
people
right?
did accept people's different views, and now I have not as many great aunts and uncles that I would have had.
I had
It's hard to respond to that. Right on that. You got me, Josh. You finally got me.
We did do a beer with kosher salt.
We did, Josh. So that gives us license to.
It's a woke show, yeah.
Don't laugh that hard.
Kosher salt in the beer. Woke.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope everybody learned. Josh, thank you for giving us a history lesson.
You're welcome.
I'm sure some people will be Googling it, and we can, all learn a thing or two. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you on the next episode of The Crownsman Show, if they allow us to make another episode of The Crownsman Show. Thank you. Bye.